Okay, hello everyone. My name is Ian. I will be showing you all about and teaching you all about my favorite plant and the plant that I chose for this presentation, which is the mangrove. Mangroves belong to the Rhizophora genus and the Rhizophoraceae family. They are trees that mainly grow in coastal areas, specifically between the 25th latitudes. They are mainly found within estuaries, which are areas where saltwater and freshwater mix, creating what is called brackish water. However, a lot of these can also be found inland as well. What allows them to grow within these brackish waters is the fact that they are halophytes, which means that they have complex salt filtration systems and root systems to adapt to harsh coastal and anaerobic conditions in which their roots do grow. They are a keystone species and provide habitats for many other organisms and are actually crucial to the development of younger organisms within marine life. You can find mangroves, like I said, between the 25th latitudes of the world. They do span over 118 different countries and territories across the world, as you can tell with this figure that is shown. They're, again, mainly in tidal areas, including marine shorelines and estuaries, as I had mentioned before. 75% of the world's mangroves are found within 15 countries, with Indonesia, Brazil, and Malaysia having the highest density of mangrove populations. The Pacific Islands definitely have a ton of mangroves, as well as Brazil being the tropical area that it is. Mangroves are incredibly important to our coastal ecosystems. They have typically low biodiversity, however, they do host all sorts of different organisms throughout the world. Over 174 species of marine megafauna are called the mangrove home, including oysters, barnacles, crabs, fish, alligators, you name it, all find the mangrove as a crucial part of their ecosystem. They are also crucial to water filtration systems in coastal areas and actually do filter out heavy metals within the water and sediment of these coastal environments. Mangroves are also crucial to the barrier islands, protecting against storm surges, tsunamis, cyclones, a lot of different natural disasters. They don't exactly help the flooding, however, their root systems excel at dissipating wave energy, which is why they're very crucial to those barrier islands that typically protect inland coastal areas. There are over 110 recognized mangrove species, however, only 54 of them are true mangroves. Mangrove is a term that can typically be misconstrued as other types of coastal plants that share the same type of traits that mangroves do. However, mangroves specifically, as true mangroves, will typically be found in those brackish and coastal waters and have the complex salt filtration system and root system. Again, they typically have a low biodiversity, however, there is high biodiversity within the Pacific Islands where mangroves grow. And this is a great phylogenetic tree to kind of show the different species of mangroves and how they're not exactly all in the same families, or even genuses for that matter. The two most common mangroves, though, are the black mangrove and the red mangrove. Those are the scientific names for both of those. Black mangroves are typically much smaller, have a pneumatophoric root system, and lower salt tolerance and can be found more on the inland, as where red mangroves are larger, they have prop root systems with a higher salt tolerance and can typically be found more on the coastal areas. Mangrove ecosystems are incredibly dense and they are typically called mangles. Again, they're great for young organisms as well as anchoring organisms that filter feed. Shrimp and mud lobsters can be found on the muddy bottoms of where mangrove trees grow. And this ecosystem also does filter into itself. For example, these mangrove crabs that eat mangrove leaves which in turn adds nutrients to the mud. And then some species of mangroves are actually carbon fixers, which are super important for coastal food webs. And as you can see with this image here, there's all sorts of birds, as well as alligators and fish and barnacles that love mangroves. Currently, mangroves are considered at least concern as far as conservation status. However, in 2010, the update of the World Mangrove Atlas showed that 20% of the world's mangrove ecosystem had been lost since 1980. Since this update has been established, there have been efforts to reforest and restore mangrove populations, with red mangroves being the most popularly cultivated mangrove of them all. The conclusions that I drew from this research are that they're an incredibly productive plant and with a very extremely diverse and efficient ecosystem. They are super crucial to coastal protection for humans against natural disasters, as mentioned before, as well as their conservation. It is incredibly important to have these plants within our lives for a variety of reasons, whether it's the water filtration, the ecosystems for animals, the protection to humans, and with the population decreasing, we are starting to see some of the effects from the lack of presence of mangroves in coastal environments. And these are my sources. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for listening, and do take care.